the oil market is full of oil. Even if demand was to recover very strongly in all of those markets, plus some unforeseen segment that we don't see, actually there is so much oil on the sidelines that could easily come into the market. I mean, if you just take OPEC Plus alone, the amount of oil that they have reduced, I mean, this could immediately come back into the market. Of course, we also then would have to look at the US situation, because at $70, I mean, honestly, above at current levels and not much further above current levels, you would also stimulate US supply to come back into the market. So $70 oil, I mean, of course, I would not rule it out in say, an intraday or a couple of days during the summer is always a possibility. But as a structural shift up to $70, I find very difficult given the amount of surplus oil that is widely available in the market today.
How closely are you watching the US-Iran story when it comes to the oil market under a Biden administration, especially with all the noise that Iran is making with, that talk about uranium enrichment?
Yeah, of course, we're always watching this very closely. I would not see that as a short-term issue for the oil market. I mean, for one, of course, Iran is trying to force the issue, maybe a little bit to put themselves front and center in the new president's thinking. I don't think Biden is going to jump immediately into the Iranian situation. Obviously, his predecessor, Obama, had been a signatory to the nuclear deal. So you would imagine he supported that. But of course, what has come in between is probably not his key focus. So I think, the Iranian situation will be something that Biden will have to deal with. Potentially, it's again bearish for oil markets, because if you see, I mean, you can't take any more Iranian oil out of the market. You can only put it back in. So if Biden follows on with Trump's strategy, that means the oil remains out of the market. However, if if he tries to turn the page and come back into some sort of deal with the Iranians, then that potentially means more Iranian barrels, up to 2 million barrels, I guess, could come back in. Again, I would not expect that anytime soon, but it's more of a bearish story for me for oil if I think Iran.
Sure. Let me just reverse the question. Where would you place the floor for oil prices, given that we are seeing lockdowns in the United Kingdom and other places, and obviously that's still a very relevant story?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And the problem is this is a political question, because the floor we would see around current levels. Like we basically expect the oil prices to be flat into the middle of this year. So, the run-up in markets yesterday was a little bit too optimistic, and now it's cooled off a little bit. OPEC looks undecided, fine. The downside is always to do with how OPEC manages the market, right? If OPEC Plus cannot reach an agreement and you have some sort of terrible situation like we had at the end of the first quarter last year, where there's a big disagreement between Russia and Saudi Arabia, then of course we could easily look at $30 oil, even below that. However, we do not think that will be the case. We believe that OPEC Plus, I should say, will continue to manage the market effectively. And look, they have done a very good job so far. In the fourth quarter, oil prices are up 30%. I think, this is where now they have risen that far. Of course, the decision for OPEC is how much further can they go without, rocking the boat too much.